Before we get into episode 3 of On the Edge podcast, we want to thank our sponsors, EJ Menswear. Go and check out ejmenswear.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Edge Sports Podcast with myself, Brendan Tierney, and joined again by Emlyn Mulligan. Back for week number 3, Emlyn. Good to see you again.
Yeah, great to be back again. We're going into
It's hotting up now.
Yeah, it's hotting up down to the final 8 now. So listen, a big weekend ahead.
Yeah, so I think we said we're going to go through this weekend's the quarterfinals, but while we're referencing them, we'll be able to talk a bit about what happened last weekend. So the big one that we all knew more or less a week ago, pending all the favourites got to, was Kerry and Armagh. So has anything changed after Kerry's defeat of Cavan?
Listen, it was an interesting game, I suppose, in terms of we expected Kerry to obviously, inevitably win the game. Again, probably shows the reliance on David Clifford with, coming out and scoring 3-7 in any championship game, never mind a preliminary All-Ireland quarter-final, was, it just shows the talent he has. And I suppose the reliance they're going to have on him this weekend, we can go back to the game last year when Kerry played Armagh. I suppose Kerry left that behind him, there's no question about it.
Chance.
And I remember being at it myself, and they had chances there. As you mentioned, like Tom O'Sullivan, I think it was came up, missed a sitter, just put in the back. It was game over. But just that Armagh momentum got them through it and got the belief. And I think they're a different animal again as we spoke this year. And I suppose them nullifying David Clifford will have a huge effect in this game, because I think you take away his scores, Kerry are definitely not the same team, obviously.
And in fairness, I think if Kerry had been injury free the last few weeks, I know most people say they haven't played any big teams yet. Armagh will be just waiting in the long grass, and they've had a lovely rest. They've had a good championship. I know they lost to Galway, but they had the 3 top scorers not playing, so everyone's kind of hard to gauge them. And they don't rely on any one player. I think if any one of their players got injured, they'd probably be able to cover it up, which not many other teams have. That's
they have that strong squad and that depth in it. But listen, what an opportunity for Kerry as well. I think it's a draw that Kerry still will be saying, right, people are writing us off. People are saying we're overlying on David Clifford.
Dara O'Shea said, should we just get over this weekend and get on to Armagh and finish it?
And just finish it, you're saying this to a group of Kerry players who live and die by the jersey down there and the tradition. So it makes for a really interesting game. Yeah. You can't completely write Kerry off. Kerry still have the footballers. Kerry, the new rules definitely, when an open Croke Park is going to help them. It was very hard last year probably in a lot of games when you do soak up the pressure, David Clifford and marking 2-3 men. It just can't happen now, and you can see. Just listen, look what he scored. He's 7 or 8 goals as he scored in this championship already.
I knew you got that at the weekend.
He got 3. It's the most. I think it's the first time since back in I don't know how many years ago that anyone's ever scored that in a championship year. But
that many goals.
But all Armagh's focus, you'll imagine a lot of it's just going to be on trying to contain
him. You'd have
to,
and I know Paddy Clifford only came back, so if he goes back to where he was a couple of weeks ago, he's just as much of a threat. But as you said, I think Armagh are just that bit more savvy defensively. But now Barry McCambridge marked him last year, marked him really well, but he was injured, I think. So the rumours of that, so that could trip it. But I think the new rules in Croke Park for Kerry, this is the first big game you could say we're going to see David Clifford under the new rules in Croke Park, and Kerry kicked the ball. So that will be an interesting...
And I just think in terms of David Clifford too, if I was a manager, I probably would be saying, listen, David Clifford is potentially going to score 10, 12 points here. There's nothing wrong with that. But just don't let anyone else score.
Yeah.
Or nullify everybody else's influence, because you still need to kick 24 to 25 points down games. And unfortunately, David Clifford probably, we can't say he can't, but I don't think he's going to come out and score that much. But if you can nullify the other threats that Armagh can and Kerry and obviously put the scores on the other end of it, I just think that, listen, the way it's lined up and the rest and everything that, it's big, but I just think Armagh are finally tuned in at the minute.
Oh, yeah. They've only added to their attack.
I wouldn't be shocked if Kerry won it, but I just think Armagh just have more
Jimmy
in there.
O'Connor, I think Jimmy O'Connor probably, because the current game is so important in midfield.
Yeah.
And he was a great player for Kerry all year, but back out, come on, 2 or 3 minutes gone again,
Yeah, and then and we've seen even for Armagh bring Seaton Rafferty out there around that middle third as well. It's just they have a lot of huge men. Reno O'Neill back in there. Yeah, it's hard to see where you could put all the positives for a Kerry win, and everything's just leading to an Armagh win at the minute. You
would think so. And again, I know I've said the last episode, their full forward line Armagh isn't flying, but their half back line is flying, scoring. You've Oisin O'Neill, Connaughty, McQuillan, these guys, they're all chipping in. So you're not just minding 2 or 3 players, you're minding about 7 scorers.
As you mentioned there, as you said, that reliance on the full forward line isn't there, and as you said, the scores come from everywhere, and keeper included. So no, they have everything there to have the squad, to have the depth, to have the management team. There's everything's in their favour, to have the supporters. To come down to the final crunch in a couple of minutes in that game, if it's 50-50,
there'll be no loud Kerry cheer anyway.
The momentum swing is going to go with Armagh, you'd imagine, and you have Kerry players complaining about not having the fans up there, whereas you'd imagine Kerry players should just focus on Kerry and focus on their games. Don't be worrying about fans and who's going to be there. They're probably not the best sporting team in the country.
No, but they always waited.
And they're probably traditionally they've the most success ever. So it's not fans they've ever dwelled on, but when you just see them focus and look and
you kind of wonder, is this starting to become a distraction?
Yeah.
You know, that's what they're worrying about now, where they never did before.
Whereas
like,
just go focus on beating Armagh and don't worry who's in the crowd. Listen, but it's just when the going gets tough, I just think that momentum and Armagh crowd will be there on Sunday evening.
Yeah. I'm talking again as a Galway man, I'm kind of going, if Kerry win that, I go, oh, I don't want to face them now. But if Armagh win, we've had them so close so many times that it'd probably be like, you know, if Galway get through as well, you go, maybe Armagh's the team we want to face. It's a strange conundrum, like, for another team going, which do you want? A Kerry that's won and flying, or an Armagh that just keeps building? Like, because we've seen everything of Armagh. They've played all the big teams, whereas Kerry haven't played any really big teams. So
there's a bit more of unknownness about Kerry and where they can get to. And I think that's the beauty of this year's championship. All the teams are left in that group, and even you could question, people will go into that in Meath as well. Like, but on any given day, all them teams could probably beat each other, and hence a lot of these teams have lost a game already in the championship. So none of them are really flawlessly above anybody else. Whereas a couple of years ago, when you had Dublin, that great Dublin team, nobody wanted to meet them. But I just think when it comes to the open draw, after whoever comes through next weekend, no team it's nearly irrelevant of who they get, because I think every team on their day are capable of beating each other.
So who's going to win that one, Si? Call it. Going to Armagh, yeah?
I'm going to go to Armagh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I can't see anything else. I think they're just at a different level. And again, in fairness to Kerry, I think it's the injuries. But yeah, it should be a cracking game. Dublin and Tyrone, two teams equally kind of up and down and stuttering and injuries. But it doesn't seem to be any team without injuries, really. Armagh probably have been the luckiest. But yeah, Dublin, I mean, Con not playing the weekend. Cork could have caught them, like.
Yeah, and in fairness to Cork, that's again, I think we spoke about last year, just unknown. You don't know what Cork could produce.
I don't think Cork know which Cork they're going to come out with. Like.
But I suppose, in terms of Tyrone, like, you know, we've seen them going up to Ballybuffet, causing, you know, I wouldn't say a shock, but getting over a Donegal team that hadn't lost in Ballybuffet under Jim McGuinness in a long time. Then they went down and played Cavan in the last group game, and I suppose everybody expected them to win that day, and they comfortably got over Cavan. They have had their week off, so it all depends on their preparation. Again, go down to injuries, different players.
When McKernan looked like he hurt his arm or shoulder that time, that looked like you're not going to be out too quick after that.
Do you know? But I suppose the positive for them is like Matty Donnelly there back in. He just brings that added strength. He's playing at 11 there against Cavan, but like the Canavans obviously, and then you Darren McCurry's playing. He's in great form this year, and there's no question to have the scoring threat and to have the meanness and nastiness about them, that if they do get into their zone, Tyrone, they're a different animal, like, you know. And listen, but then they're meeting a Dublin team who a lot of questions have been asked for. You know, how good have they been in Croke Park in their last two games?
We've just said this, like they're actually playing bad in Croke Park, and they play great against Galway in Galway and Derry in Derry. They were all up for much battle hardened. And like someone said, like, you know, it's just the matches they played in Croker this year have actually been relatively quiet from a crowd point of view. Maybe they're just not feeding off that, you know. So this game will change that.
Yeah, I think Saturday even now when they have with the crowd behind them, they're just again, like, I suppose them lads are also used to playing in that bigger atmosphere that, you'd imagine it's going to drive them on. Again, to pick a winner in that one, it's a real toss of the coin. I'm going to throw my hat with Dublin on that one.
Yeah, I think all round. But then, like, if we've looked at the season, like, Tyrone lost to Mayo, like, and overall, like, have Mayo, what's their level? Like, they're one of the big teams and they weren't shown to be great and they bet Tyrone. Yeah. So that's for my marker.
Imagine we're still talking about Mayo.
No, but I'm just saying it's a good they're a great team to measure off because they are what your class as a top team. But
like, and in fairness, they went up and caused a shock. But again, Tyrone didn't look at their best. But again, that's very easy to say they didn't look at it. But
Well, Kennedy was missing that day and I think he's back. So again, we keep going back to the midfield, and like even the games the weekend there, 2 or 3 minutes in a row, you keep winning the midfield ball, the game's turned. So I think you need all your big men. And then we go
back to the role of the goalkeeper again. Like Niall Morgan is still one of the best in the job. He's going to add to it. Then you have on the other side you have a no starter like Stephen Clarkson's still there.
Yeah. It's going to be like a kick out, like Premier League kick out competition.
But it's one. It's very hard to call, but it's again, listen, it's all on the day in form. But I just think a good full house possibly in Croke Park there is going to give the Dubs just again that small little advantage maybe.
Yeah. No, again, I think Tyrone might be coming. Is it Macalholm as well? He's come through.
Of 20 teams there.
Like some of these fringe players might surprise us, but I think I'd actually be funny if we're both on the same teams all the way along. But I just think Dublin have just got the players back at the right time. These guys, muscle memory, they know how to win big games. You know, it's not like they're fresh and new. Like they've had a few new fellas, and like O'Coffey Byrne and these guys, McGuinness, they're relatively new and they're still flying.
O'Coffey, he's very good around the middle now. He's a big lad and he's added something. He's not like you can't, I suppose, compare him. The problem with him is he's compared to the likes of Brian Fenton and what he got, but you can't put him in that category. But he's given him something different this year, and he's been very good in the last couple of games.
Before we go on to the next 2 games, I just want to say, anyone looking in, you can see our sign here beside us. And this is the week before the 29th of June when this event is on. It's Stroll for Sean. It's a good friend of ours, Sean Brown. And friends and extended family have come together to organise a big fundraiser from this Sunday in Cleaver Park in Sligo Town. If you're here, check out Stroll for Sean or idonate.ie/together for Sean. If you just want to donate wherever you are in the world, you can do a stroll. Remember, it's just a quick little stroll. It's not a big event as regards 50k walks or anything like that. On Sunday, wherever you are in the world, do a little stroll, share the social media and donate where you can, okay? So make sure to go and check out Stroll for Sean on Facebook and Instagram. Just need to get that in before we moved on. So we're on now to the last 2 games. Monaghan and Donegal. Monaghan have played probably the least games of any of the championship, and Donegal have easily played the most games as far as I'm aware. I think they were up on 9 maybe.
Look at the stats, and then I suppose if you're looking at the group stage, Monaghan, I'm not going to say it was a relatively easy group, but it was a lot easier than some of the other groups that they could have got.
Yeah.
In terms of a team, like they're a newish team in terms of a lot of their players, but there's still obviously a massive reliance on the likes of McCarran, McCarthy, Rory Beggan, again, back to goalkeepers, but Donegal got over the line against them in the Ulster Championship. No, that's a long time ago in terms of how much football.
It's Jonathan on that, but it was 2 points and they had chances.
And they had chances. So I suppose Donegal will be aware of what they possess, but like Donegal have been through a lot of graphs since that too, I suppose, in terms of hard battles. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, I just think Donegal will have too much for them. But the open space of Croke Park, like Leaks and Brannigan, they have a lot of pace and power, and again, their forwards they're scoring extremely well. They're scoring high.
126, 127, 124 apparently against the 3 group. They won all the 3 group games, is that right, Chaz? So and all kind of good scores. But
all good scoring.
Beggan, it was Davy Byrne was on another podcast. He was on about like he's a cheat code. He said Beggan is just like it's not fair nearly. As in like he was joking, but he said they made a plan in the league in the Hyde Park to make sure he never got any chances, and he didn't score. But then in the league final, they equally did the same plan, but it didn't work. Yeah. So maybe Croke Park maybe just suit him better, and that
and his range, like his range isn't even outside the arc. It's like 60 meters. Do you know what I mean? Like when you start moving that ball out, it just means that Donegal, it just changes the dynamic in terms of pressing out in teams where you can foul.
Fouling is a big thing. I can't foul anywhere out here.
You get a hand on any forward and he pulls back within 60 meters. Normally you'd be kind of holding around to 45, but with likes of him on the pitch, and if conditions are as good as they normally are up there, we've seen him. He is just flawless off the ground, and again, it gives them a massive threat going forward in terms of that aspect. But I just think overall, and listen, there's a lot of stuff going on in Donegal, and everyone's against us again, no more than the last couple of days. I think that's just going to be honed in on the dressing room wall for Donegal.
I was going to talk about that later, but like it was last week Jimmy was giving out. They've this weekend coming. They've only got a 6-day break. Like you hear some conversation. Just shut up, or has he a valid point? Are you as an ex-player? I'm sure you'd be going more on the player welfare side.
Yeah, he has a valid point. There's no questions. When it gets to this stage of a championship, there has to be fairness across the board.
Yeah.
Like you cannot, and listen, it's not an excuse I'm sure they want to use, but you can't be saying, we're giving other teams all that extra day, but you're not getting it. Like out of fairness in the competition, yes, then going to player welfare, like at the end of the day, we spoke about it before we come on. Like, if they'd automatically change the game for the Kerry Armagh game on with the Dublin Tyrone game, but like that was never going to happen because potentially the crowd is going to be too much and they want to fill the 2 days, and like there's no question about it. Croke Park, it's money based. Them the reason for the change of Donegal.
Whether you think that's harsh, cruel, or whatever, but that's really the reason.
Their welfare, and I know myself in terms of even my age, like recovery is huge, and an extra day. Like them boys will probably train tonight. They won't get to probably another session in because they'll have to drive to Dublin Friday night to stay, which will stay over, and then straight away you're down a day. Whereas potentially Sunday you could get a wee bit done, maybe Friday evening. Regroup Saturday morning and head for Dublin, and that extra day is absolutely huge. I think in my experience over it, and yes, they can feel sorry for. I know Donegal released a statement. They didn't release a statement looking for anything. They just said they were very disappointed in terms of.
I suppose they're just laying a marker for future, and like whether we like it or not, that probably does frame the thinking for future years. Going, why can't we make it fair like that?
Yeah, and it's just at this stage of a competition. All people want is equality and fairness.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you ask Donegal or Monaghan, they might say, no, we play it in Clonus, so. So they might.
It's funny you said that. That was in my head thinking, we'll play with them in Clonus in a full house.
Yeah. And Monaghan would be like, we don't want them to have 7 days at all, probably. But
I can see it, and it's just something it's obviously came off the bounce of everything that happened last week with the whole thing of travel and about everyone's against us. It's really just honed in on this now to say, listen, we're a laughing stock now in the country. They don't give a shite about us. Literally, Croke Park doesn't. Well, now we just need to ram this down their throats at the weekend, and that's literally their
I think that siege mentality is definitely in full flow.
They've given them more siege mentality now than they've ever given. So I just think it's.
And there's no one in Donegal disagreeing with Jim McGuinness.
No, that's it. No player, like I've heard, there's no ex-player coming out disagreeing with it. I've just seen different videos of different former players. They're all in agreement, and that's the mentality.
Everyone gets the WhatsApp group text. This is what you're saying this week, lads, and that's it. And as I said, in fairness to Donegal, they have played more matches, I think, than anyone. I might be slightly wrong. There might be some other team, but of the big teams especially, they've played more matches. Monaghan, as we said, are so well rested. So are they coming in raw? We don't know. They didn't have the toughest group, but they've played well all year.
Yeah, and then people say, well, it's Donegal's fault if an extra game because they didn't win their group. Well, obviously they don't go out and try and lose the group. And Monaghan's reward for winning the group is a game less.
Yeah.
But it's, again, just back to fairness. If every team is getting, like Kerry have a kind of an 8-day turnaround, everyone else is a 7. Like you can't turn around it. Like if there's an 8, if 3 teams run 7-day turnarounds or 3 potential and one's 6, you say, right, it's 50-50 here. But one team is an 8-day turnaround and there's 2 7 days and 1 6. Fairness should prevail instead of actually money and trying to get people in seats. It should come down to, just a respectful competition. Donegal should have got that Sunday evening slot, I think.
And are they relying too much on Murphy?
Yeah, we spoke
if you took him out, would you rule them out on Sunday?
Yeah, like I think, and Louth probably isn't, no disrespect to Louth at all. I don't think it's the best game to gauge. Like Oisín Gallen stood up to the plate again against Louth last weekend, more so than he would have previously against Mayo. Do you know what, I suppose for Jim McGuinness, he's probably thinking this is great for his confidence. I think he get 4 or 5 points now, albeit McCool Park's his home club pitch. Like he knows that pitch inside out. Yeah. But Donegal definitely need more from the likes of him. Whatever influence Paddy McBurty is going to have, like they still have the Conor O'Donnell, Shane O'Donnell, McCall. Like listen, they've abundance of forwards. Langan clicks into gear against these games at Croke Park. Like we've seen him against, I think it was a Galway last year in the semi. Like he kicked a couple of massive 2-pointers, would have been 2-pointer scores. Yeah. So to have that in their locker, it's just whether they can get it all at once. I just see them at the minute, kind of they're reliant on a different player every game, maybe to get them over the line fully. But if they all click.
It's a bit of a Galway conundrum if you can get them all clicking the one day. But then I suppose you'll always argue that with most teams. I think Donegal, as you said, Murphy was brought back to give him that extra bit. He's nearly become more than the extra bit. Yeah. And up until last Sunday, Gallen was kind of, you were hoping, if you were a Donegal fan, I suppose, as you just said, well, I know you need to keep where you were. Yeah, that's and now we add Murphy. So some people said like maybe some of the other fringe players, McBrearty maybe hasn't been involved as much or scoring as much. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm so excited about this weekend because all shackles are off. Like
that's it.
All go now, lads. No hiding, no messing.
Cancel all your plans.
Yeah. Are you half injured? You're still playing because we could be out.
It's going to be for a great entertainment, and it's 2 days of great football. Yeah,
I'm going to go for penalties in that one.
Oh, very good.
I think it's too hard to call. I think it's too close to call, and Monaghan can just get a run in you for 2 or 3, kickouts and gets big scores from so many players. Like so, and like as I think we've mentioned every week, but Andy Moore. Different mindset that Monaghan didn't have, before.
Yeah, so. and all the tension, as you mentioned, is like it's all on Donegal this week now on this whole 6-day fixture. Like Monaghan can just go to the train tonight or tomorrow night and just say nothing. We've had a great week last week of preparation, great weekend. Like they could have done so much this weekend. I suppose, and a lot of it will come down. It'll be interesting to see does that week off how crucial is that rest. Yeah.
And I guess I was thinking Philly McMahon was saying like. Even this weekend, any of the teams that aren't playing would still have played a challenge match or an A versus B match.
Potentially, yeah.
So, like, you've played in A versus Bs or challenge matches. Yeah. Like, when it was coming here, wherever the level you were at with different championships or different seasons, was the challenge game ever full-blooded, like?
There would be, like, of course there would. But I still think the mental preparation for a game of that calibre in a prelim, this knockout football, the travelling, the just getting yourself prepared for it in general, how mental, and then your fatigueness for whereas you go Sunday morning A versus B, yes, it'll be intense and all, but it doesn't take the mental preparation that you would have had to do. And there's no question about it by the time, them teams like Sunday evening. I don't think it's Donegal's, I suppose the result inevitable, the way they got away from Louth, nearly turned into a bit of a training match at the end when they did get ahead by so much, so it probably wouldn't have taken as much out of them than maybe.
No, I don't think so. Someone said they got a challenge match at home on Sunday, and like their players, even all the subs that were finished went off. Yeah, through the second half, walked out. Yeah, so they were straight in, like recovery. Like, it's someone told Jimmy you're playing on Saturday.
Yeah, he knew already. Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah.
Well, the last game next weekend is again my own county, Galway versus Meath. Now Galway again, it was a sensational game against Down. We were saying earlier on, like Down have really progressed in the championship the way they play. There's so many good players, unbelievable. And I hadn't watched them only once this year before this, but like. And I think if we may be right, they're Division 3 next year, so they mightn't even have a chance of getting into Sam Maguire. So we're not too sure of the permutations. Yeah, but there's still a very good chance they won't even have a chance, unless, of course, they get into an Ulster final, which isn't the easiest championship to get into a final. But like, what a breath of fresh air they've been. Like some of the scores.
And I remember watching them. Was it last year in the Tailteann Cup semi-final? It was against Sligo. Like, and how they've come on in the space of 12 months.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of the good success story of a Tailteann Cup going. Like these teams.
Yeah, and it's given all their teams confidence coming out of it. I think that's huge. Like to say, well, we can actually compete. And Conor Lafferty obviously done a massive job since he went in there. And we've seen what he did with Kilcoo, but. Yeah, like Odin Murdoch there, there's some brilliant footballers, like, the pace, power, young lads just coming through confident, and obviously that just comes from a manager. And Galway, like spells here in that Galway game I thought potentially could run away with it here. Showed glimmers of just absolute quality, likes of Shane Walsh, likes of young Matthew Thompson there we spoke about.
Magic Thompson, as Shane Walsh has nicknamed him.
Do you know, but again, I suppose the biggest question for Galway now going in is regrouping and getting I suppose the mentality is that everyone's going to say Galway should beat Meath. It's a great draw for Galway. But Meath are sitting in the long grass after overcoming some huge wins this year in terms of their own in terms of their own standards. And like Matthew Thompson said in an interview afterwards, that's the toughest game I've played.
Which was mad.
Like that shows you how then regrouped it. You know, like so their bodies have been put through a lot. Long trip up to Newry. Just straight away you've lost a day or two, whereas Meath again. It's definitely going to bring it back a small bit in terms of evening up the game, I think. Yeah. And we've seen what Meath can do in terms of their scoring power. 2-pointers back in Croke Park, albeit against Louth, they probably didn't perform to their best ability. But one would imagine the Galway should have
again,
enough.
like I mean, you're just calling it cold. Like on paper, it should be more than last Sunday. Galway should have beaten Down, and they did. But it was obviously, Down showed a lot more than I haven't seen enough of Meath really. But as you said, even mentally to go this year, we've added a scalp of Dublin and Kerry. Whether you can argue Kerry were missing players, but Meath are missing players.
Yeah,
some of their best forwards like Costello and Conlon, I think, but they were out sick. So these guys have been racking up big scores, players 100%. Of the week sometimes. You know what I mean? So Galway, it's the full forward line, 118 it scored. They scored like crazy, like, you know what I mean? And like everyone, we were talking about Thompson and Shane Walsh, Rob Finnerty again.
Yeah, again.
Yeah. Every time.
He's been so good, yeah. And just that, but that had been 5-10 minute spell of Shane Walsh's display in the first half when he went from the goal. Yeah. So I think you want to kick out 2-pointer free, dummy solo, another like he was just
then injured and then kicks off his weak foot off the ground. I mean, you can appreciate a good free kick.
But I think we spoke about that last week, but just getting him more games, more form. You know, if he's well recovered this week, getting to Croke Park, like if he can keep that standard up, like there's always like it's more than David Clifford. But the only thing I suppose for Galway's point of view is if he doesn't perform, you still have the Thompson, you still have Rob Finnerty, you still have Matthew Tierney there, you still have Paul Connery.
But like Donegal though, like to go all the way, you need them all.
You do need them all.
Like we lost Finnerty last year in the final, like, and I do believe he had the potential. He was building last year. This year he's gone off the charts. Like, so it was one of those moments. Like, just go back to Shane Walsh has some level of a shoulder injury. He did come back on and play. So like, you've obviously played. Is it like a magic injection and you go, it's still injured, but I can function and play? Is that kind of what it's like?
It's funny when that happened, when I seen him go down and I looked at it was funny, maybe it's a different injury, but like the thing I was glad from was if it wasn't a leg injury, to be honest, because if you do a hamstring, you do a pull a muscle in your calf, you're gone.
Yeah.
Whatever but a shoulder, grand, you mightn't be able to take as much impact, depending on the severity of it. Now, listen, it could be if it was popped out or something, but you can really strap it up, you can really protect it a bit more, and you're not, you know what I mean? So I suppose if there's any positive, it's lucky that it's not a small tear of some capacity, like a hamstring, or he's gone. Okay. As you said, the fact he came back on, listen, like, you know what I mean? Now, obviously, like that's going to get sore a couple of days later, but they'll be doing everything that you can possibly do.
He had a picture of himself and the missus on Instagram today. Happy birthday to her. So he didn't look too unhealthy at that anyway. So fingers crossed. And McDade, of course, went off.
Yeah.
So so look at this week, and we'll not even know till 3 minutes for throwing.
This is the thing with the championship. It's such a cramped and confined space now with the 6 months and the split season that there's so many games that you just don't know who's going to be available every week. And I suppose you can't complain about it and get on it. In fairness, Galway have had a tormental time with injuries throughout the year, different stages. But do you know what? You have to admire them. Just keep going. Like, are you telling me?
Not a lot of complaining.
Are you telling me at the start of the year they wouldn't be, if they were told you'll have a Iron quarter final in Croke Park against Meath? What as a Galway fan,
and you got down in the week before in the draw, you go, that's probably.
What would you say to yourself? You would have taken a board.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So they're in a good position.
Yeah, in fairness to Joyce, and I really like, and I've heard other people this, not just because I'm Galway man, but like, love his honesty. There's no big moaning. Like, they've travelled 3 Ulster games in a row now. Yeah. Gone up to Ulster 3 times. And long journeys, late back, all this stuff, you know what I mean? So, but no whining. Again, injuries. Sarah, we'll get on. Yeah. Look, we're still waiting for Mr. Comer, and he was togged and ready, and maybe, hopefully, he's ready to unleash into Croke Park.
Like, just to see, but even the boost, I'd say, for a Galway panel to know, right? There's 20 minutes in him coming in there. It's just, as you said, if they could click again, no more than every team, but when the power Galway have in terms of that aspect, and even defensively, like throughout their team, they've unbelievable quality.
I do find them a bit naive sometimes in defending. When they lose the ball, and I watched it the last day, and it was against Derry as well. It was a Conor Glass, and just was left, run down the sideline, and next thing they all got swarmed over here, and then ball into him, goal, and it was absolutely the same against Down the last day. One of our midfielders kind of chased the wrong man, and then someone else didn't cover across. You know what I mean? And then just to finish on the goal thing, the goalie conundrum that everyone's hyping up. I'm just going, just put in Conor Gleeson. I didn't see him do nothing wrong all year.
Yeah.
You know, he's made some great saves. He's got a big long kick out. And I mean, I don't know the in-depth thing of Galway's
and
team
that's
meetings.
Yeah, 100%,
they obviously Flaherty is something, and he's an amazing kick out, Flaherty. And he did do one great save, but just he's probably a couple of years behind being a calm county keeper, like, you know. Whereas
and there's a lot of
Gleeson was
pressure
that a
now.
few years
Yeah.
ago, and he's now calmer. He doesn't make so many mistakes. I think every keeper keeps kicking the ball over the sideline in certain
And I
games.
would have said Gleeson was a bit of a liability. Actually, up to about 2 years ago, I would have said I don't think they'll win an All Ireland with him in goals, because he was capable of making a lot. And now, listen, we're not there every Tuesday, Thursday night at training to see what's going on, and it's grand. But it's such a mental side of that game, and had that mental strength as a goalkeeper. You have to be so 100% focused on your ability. That if he comes under a bit of pressure, which he might come under depending on this weekend, we'll see. But if it gets to a semi-final against an Armagh and it'll ask different questions, you know. But it's Galway are in a good position. Meath, again, well capable of putting it up to them. There's no question about it. But I just think that again, it should all lead to a Galway win to the end.
It's great that we've kind of, you know, what you say, like kind of newer teams like Meath and Down coming through this year and actually putting up a good performance, like, and doing well. Like,
it is, of course.
They've kind of finished the season better than the likes of Louth, maybe. You know what I mean? So, so no, it's but like Louth, they're quite happy with their season too. I'm sure they've won their Leinster, and that'll do them. They can regroup again for next year. So I think we're both, and again, you know, just as analytically saying it, I think Galway would have to be fancy.
That'd be my take on it.
There. Just to come back to the Galway and the Down game, there was one moment where Peter Cook won a kick. Remember the rule that was changed last week?
Yes.
He won a kick out, and he was stopped, and the ref gave it free. And he actually went to go, can I not bring it up? Like, he didn't even know.
I know.
But I'm going, that was a moment I was going, well, hold on now. That's just totally suited the defence. So I think bring back the 50-yard, but not the 2-point option. Yeah. That negativity has to be racked out of the game completely. And that Down player, and I mean, not picking out him, there's plenty of them probably going to do it. But if the game has been flowing lovely, but that was one example to go, well, we would have taken off there with an attack.
Yeah, well, I know from when that rule came in initially a couple of years back, I remember, even was with Leitrim was in there, wasn't he? You caught the mark, then so if I impede the man, whatever, it's a free, all right, whatever. But like we were always told, just put your hand around and stop him. Don't let him play on with the ball, because then it just gave you a chance to filter back someone from your opposite wing back position. And
it kills it as a spectacle. I know Jim McGuinness' thing is to make it a brilliant spectacle. So that's a key thing that could, again, I'd say go the 50 metres, but it's only 1 pointer. You can't go 2.
Yeah, it's a pointed free. Yeah,
because,
I know.
And someone go, that's enough. It's like, but don't do it then.
Yeah.
Don't do the foul, and then it doesn't happen yet.
Yeah, it's given an advantage to the team that's defended, because they can absolutely slow it up, get their men back, and there's no real consequence of it, bar free. Like, and
it's a benefit to them. Like,
it's a benefit completely. Yeah.
And before we go, was your bus ever late going to a match?
Do you know what? I've been trying to think long and hard about it, and I don't know if I've ever, like, and Jesus, people have questioned maybe Leitrim and the standards we ever held, but I don't think we ever had a bus ever went round the wrong. Like, I don't know.
So,
it's a simple basics. Like,
I've never been inside a county camp, so you have a match at 2:00 on Sunday, and it's down in Hyde Park. What is it Thursday night? Is there like a logistics meeting for a county player going, this is where we're being, this is what's going to happen? Do they give you a time up to the minute out in the pitch, warm up? Like, how well is it, perfected? Do you know, like, breakfast this time or getting up this time? Is it that well planned?
That's a standard, but I'll even go back to club level now. Like, I'm playing club football here in Sligo. Our manager has a minute per minute from the minute we land in the dressing room to your prep, your foam rolling, to your team talk, then when I say minute, it's not even like 20 past. Like, it could be 21 minutes past such and such a time. You're on the pitch. You're doing you know what I mean? Like, it's set that level of basically players know exactly. It's just taken out of their control that they know they just go with the flow.
One less thing to think about. Plus, they're in sync. Then if we're not in sync before the match, how are we going to be in sync in the match?
And this is on Donegal's point of view, and I think people that we're obviously speaking about now the 15 minutes delay that Louth had looked for, because they took a wrong turn coming out of Enniskillen, which ended up looking at the beautiful scenery of Ben Bulben.
Well, I mean, everyone wants to come to Sligo, like, so I wouldn't blame them.
Like, I'll deal with the first part of it, but so that preparation from all the camp it's set in stall. It just takes your mind off it. You just go with the flow, and then to be asked, maybe I'm not sure how many minutes or when they were rang to do that. I think it's very unfair for Donegal to be asked to throw off their complete schedule because Louth got it completely wrong in terms of this. Like, got it wrong in terms of the logistics of how to get to Ballybuffet from Enniskillen. Like, it's not acceptable in terms.
No, it's not like you're.
I don't know Jared Brennan made lighthearted in fairness to him, but he has to be looking at this going.
Surely someone on the bus was going, "This is not right."
Like, and I've been on buses heading down to Waterford and place, and I'd always be Google Maps and nearly to see where we're at, like crossing over from onto the M50 down to whatever the road is down to Waterford. I'd be going, you'd see it on Google Maps, but how 40 players? I know they're focused, probably headphones in, looking at their phone, but like the bus driver is a lot to question, and someone even like at top of them buses, you've always county board maybe officials sitting, and you're telling me none of them have ever holidayed over that direction or never drove that road. It's
But surely someone goes, just Google map it in advance, print it out in case something happens to your phone network or something, and just go, that's exactly everyone.
And especially in the world we're living in, like the amount of opportunities there that you can see what way you're going. And
I'd love to have seen the bus driver on the way home. Like, it must have been, oh God, I love it.
I wonder when if he come into Sligo, where is he thinking, oh my God, like I just seen someone saying it took them 2 hours 20 minutes to get from Enniskillen to Valley of Fay, whereas if they actually left their own centre of excellence in Darver and Louth, it took 2 hours 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, God love him.
But I just think at that level, I think Gerard Brennan would be very disappointed. I know you can make light heart of it, but I think
no, I know.
And in fairness, it didn't hamper their first half performance because they were point for point with Donegal, and eventually ran out winner or losers.
And I think that was Donegal's bench just started coming on. I don't think Louth had the same impact.
No,
but like as I said, there's been 2 narratives here going out saying that allegedly Jim McGuinness was asked and he said no, but you go, well, that's fair enough. If it was 40 minutes or an hour before the game, it's like no, we're in our zone now.
Yeah.
If it's 2 or 3 hours, well, it wouldn't be 2 or 3 hours.
No,
I'm saying if there's a certain window of time, you'd be like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then others saying that was wrong by him, and others going that was right. So and then if you believe in karma, now he's after getting the 6-day break. They're like, well, no, you didn't.
Yeah,
you
and
didn't
I've seen a lot of that too. Yeah, and in either sense, again, it's down to opinion, and my opinion, your opinion here. But my opinion is Donegal. I think they had their schedule set up professional as making an amateur sport. Everything is detailed out for the players. Go with it. We're not changing. That's not our fault that they took a wrong turn. And even taking a wrong turn, you can still...
I suppose it'd be different if some accident or something had come across.
Yes.
I'm sure there'd probably be a bit more of that. And we were lucky in Sligo and St. John's here. Jim McGuinness was involved as a coach thing a number of years ago. I never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
Meticulous, everything was full energy. It was I've kept things in my brain since that time of stuff he does, even bringing it in other aspects of my life. So I can just imagine him.
Yeah.
It's absolutely everything. I was funny. I was at the All-Star, the walk around Croke Park with a legend.
Yes.
It was Michael Murphy last year.
Yeah.
And here he is this year playing. Like.
Yeah.
But he said, like, the week before the All-Ireland in 2012, like, at training a few weeks beforehand, I think it was a couple of weeks beforehand, they had a fake walking out at the timings. He said they had a fake president shaking hands with them.
Yeah.
They fake walked around behind an imaginary band with the music or something. Like, they absolutely prepped every little thing. And he said, my captain's winning speech was written, whatever, I presume after the semi, written, put it away, that's it, don't think about it anymore.
Yeah. Not
the last week. So, like, if that's Jim McGuinness's level of prep,
he wasn't going.
He's like, oh, you're kidding me.
And there's too much at stake. And if he looked back in that 15-minute delay and they lost the game, he'd be like, that's my fault. I'm here, like, that's not up to the players to decide that. I'm taking the flack here. And in fairness, all week he's been taking the flack in terms of there's nobody talking about any of the players. It's all Jim McGuinness. I'm sure he's saying, well, all attention's on me. It's not on them.
So he probably wants it that way.
So
he's happy with that. Well, we're down to the last 8. Next week, there'll be 4.
That's it.
So I cannot wait for these 2 days of matches. So it'll be great. Well, listen, we'll see you back next week and we'll see where we go from there.
Look forward to it.
Thanks again to Emlyn for joining me. Thanks to Mark Kennedy behind the cameras there, doing all the tech and the graphics for us and the editing. And big thanks to our sponsors, EJ Menswear. Go to ejmenswear.com. Check out all the amazing stock they have. And they always have a big sale coming up very soon in the summer. And don't forget, if you are still seeing a beer behind me, and depends what date you watch this, but the 29th of June, 2025, 12 to 1 over in Cleaver Park in Sligo, the stroll for Sean. Go and check out idonate.ie/together for Sean. If you want to make a donation or just simply share the stuff, we'd love to get as much raised for his family as we can. Thank you very much.